drive my car up to the lake as if there's someone to awake. I haven't been to bed for days, I live in a twilight haze. And I set my heart to the setting sun, and I hope that no one else has done it, and the drinks are never far. Open up the bar. I miss you every single day. I wait until I start your way. I hate the way I stray into these perfect days.
Cool. You good for it?
Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. Thanks, Rick, for making the effort to get up once again super early in the morning.
No worries.
It's like the flip side of the day for you.
Yeah, today was a lot easier, I feel.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just warm. I don't know. It would have probably been winter last time you came in.
Yeah, I had that stark reminder this morning when I was like, oh, shorts today. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So it's been like a whole year. A lot's been happening. We did our first one just after the first lockdown, and like the start to 2023. Old J-Dog Jacinda quit, which was kind of awesome. I think, from my perspective, I think, it's just random.
Yeah, she's just kind of disappeared, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Which is, I suppose that's the beauty of quitting. You do just disappear.
Yeah.
But it does seem like someone who's been so annoying for so long. It's kind of like, where have you gone? It's like, I feel sort of more like COVID's over now. She's sort of left the building.
Yeah, and then we have a massive flood, right?
Yeah. Oh, bring it on.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy for me to say I'm not up there.
Yeah.
But
I feel for them guys.
Yeah. Hey, well, how has your year been? Because heaps of stuff must have been happening.
Yeah, I think, it must have been winter 2001 that I was here. Mm-hmm. So it's been a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. It's gone fast, man.
It does, right? It doesn't feel that long.
No, it's gone real fast. It's been good. There's been a lot of like ups and downs for me personally, business and personal, I guess. Business-wise, I don't know. It's just last year just
back.
Last year just feels real hard, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I was quite happy to see it end and
me too.
Welcome a new year.
Yeah.
But I have seen a few tourists. I think there's a lot of Australians sort of like coming through.
That's right.
Yeah. But I think
your trade isn't dependent on the tourism kind of market as such.
Nah, not really. I just feel that it's like comes in waves now, you know? Like, I feel like we used to be real steady. And we kind of just knew where we were at all the time, but now it's just sort of like big lows, big highs, you know. It's hard to staff in that environment, you know. But
it is, and it sucks when you have an amazing day and you're just like, right, from now on in, it's going to be like that, and that day then, like the following 3 days will just go low, and that day kind of any profitability gets spread out or just sucked up with the next 3, which are just like rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly that.
It is real hard terrain to have to navigate, and like I was saying before, it's sort of it's kind of like the seasonal thing, and this expectation of sort of growth when it's just kind of keep on going upwards. I mean, everyone loves that idea, and I certainly would like to see it, but I haven't actually seen it in this business. I've never seen us just keep on going up. It's just been so choppy, changey. But, you know, the environment and stuff that we've been operating in has been pretty full on. So I mean, like, even in the city, man, like, whenever I visit here, I always just think there's so much potential, but it's just so spread out, you know, like, I mean, Riverside just dominates everything. Like, that's right.
It's just like this organism of like rich people, like, you know, but there's just, I don't know, it's, you can just see what that effect has done to all the exterior businesses, you know?
Yeah, life, I think even in the natural world, life has a way of, you get some kind of life form will just exploit a certain area and kind of dominate and overtake. And it's almost like it doesn't really care about the other little guys around the place. It just kind of does its thing. And it's not per se a bad thing, but it definitely has a consequence, right? A kind of a ripple consequence. I think, we had the Buskers Festival, which was kind of cool. That drew a bunch of people into town. How long did that run for, Milton? Are you aware?
About 3 weeks, I think.
3 weeks? Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yep. I'm just helping taking the stages down yesterday and today. Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yep.
And that was real successful, man. A lot of people really loved that. And really, really well. I remember being in New Regent Street about a week ago, and man, it was going off. The whole street was packed from end to end, and it was like a really good party atmosphere.
That's cool.
Yeah, big success, man.
Yeah, so it can kind of happen, but what is it? Yeah, they might not do something for another quarter.
Yeah, well, I guess they'll be back next year.
I felt like there wasn't a lot of advertising for the buskers, it just sort of popped up, and it's and if you don't have social media, then you just don't know, so yeah,
totally. 100%.
I'm kind of gutted. I didn't even know it was over.
Before you even
you
can come and watch us take the stages down.
That's on, as long as there's a joke.
It's a good show. We'll put our head out on the street.
Have you been getting any compliment?
Of course, mate. Yep.
Oh, there's that dude from Pilgrim.
He can use a what are those things called? A screw gun.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Oh, true. Yeah. Tradie.
Yeah, so I've got a tradie gun.
Oh. Yes.
So have you? So you probably, by the sounds of things, it's been pretty. Well, I wouldn't say a miserable year, but a bit tough. Have you got any plans? What's your sort of highlight for 2023 looking like? Are you kind of planning on? How's your menu going and stuff? What's the egg shortage doing to you?
Oh man,
do you have eggs in your burgers?
So annoying. I got a couple of burgers with eggs, but I mean we've been lucky because we've managed to we've maybe gone a couple of nights without eggs, but on the whole it's been good, But I feel like last year, I'm just going to go back to last year quickly. But I just feel like last year probably when I was here last time, I was sort of at that high stage of the business where everything was just good and I was feeling really good. I had a good crew, a good team and stuff like that. But and then as I sort of maybe halfway through 2022, I feel like I just, in myself personally, just had this massive awakening, man. It was real crazy. I'm not spiritual in any way or anything like that, but just something came over me, man, and I was just it was real powerful. Made me
so it was positive.
At first I didn't think that it was positive, but as I started to sort of delve within my soul, man, I just started to figure out that I felt like I'd kind of sold out, man, So,
okay.
Yeah, and it was not sold out, but just sold my soul to everyone else and not myself, So last year was a lot of reflection of past years and just figuring out who I was, man. It was quite an experience.
That's wicked. Do you know what triggered it?
There was a little bit of sort of emotional stuff going on that I don't really want to delve into. No, but in saying that, sometimes that's just how it is, man.
Totally.
There's things that you're not addressing, and then you just kind of push them to the side or you push them down, but one day they come to the surface, and I took a month off work, man, and I was pretty thankful that my sister and my crew at work were still able to continue on while I sort of just took that time for me, and I had family around me and stuff, which was real cool and just helped me out. And I just feel like my life took this other turn, where it wasn't so much about all the external anymore, and it was all about the internal, And so once I started to like delve within myself, I just, things became a lot more like clearer, man, you know, like, and it was just, I just realized that all the answers that I needed did lie within, but just breaking through the barriers, trying to find where they were and things like that, and just becoming more like authentic, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that since I've hit that peak, like, I mean, it comes and goes. Like, sometimes you think, no, so much clarity, I'm really good now, and then all of a sudden something else will happen, and you're like, whoa, maybe I'm not so good, go back, delve within, figure out what is going on, and I feel like I was one of them people that blamed the external a lot, you know, on other people or things or just whatever was going on. But now in any situation, I'm just like, okay, like, just keep coming back within, trying to figure out what it is that's triggering me or whatever, you know, because I guess like being a business owner, if you are that person on the front lines, you are sort of the business, you know? So
totally.
So like when things are impacting you, they sort of have that trickle-on effect in your business, you know? So, and I always used to just think that it was everything else, you know? Oh, maybe my staff is shit, or, you know, maybe they're not having a good time, or, you know, maybe this or that or this or that. But, once I started to look at myself more, I was like, I think I need to change, you know? Or the changes need to happen within to be able to externally show that...
Manifest kind of.
Yeah, exactly that, man. And just instead of like wanting all so much, just being happy with what I have, you know. So that was kind of a good positive way to enter into 2023, you know. And I feel like it's been pretty positive ever since. Like, I mean, we all have them days where it's like, shit, we haven't got enough money today, or you know, like I think we just touched on this earlier, you know. It can be pretty. You know, some like you don't have a good week or something like that. I mean, somebody has to take the responsibility for that, or you know, like there's outgoings, there's not enough incoming. Like it's scary, you know. Like
it is.
And in the past, I would take that on board, and I would take that home with me, and that would impact my family, and you know, like just burying myself with work and things like that. But now I feel like I'm just a lot more at peace with that, and I just know that I have the ability to create that abundance that I need with a good mindset. You know, like, and if you can just hold on to that mindset, like with whatever is going on, then it's positive, man. You know, like because you can be okay with whatever is going on. You know,
That's interesting. So does it come, do you feel like it has any particular kind of like flavour? Like have you been influenced by, I don't know, like this sort of almost the self-realisation? Has it been, is there any organised kind of thought process that exists out there already, like Buddhism or frickin' meditation, or has it come from music, or it's just purely like it just kind of happened?
I think there's a lot of different modalities that people can use, you know, like
that's right.
Religion is a massive one, but I didn't really go down that path.
No,
I think when I was sort of hitting that emotional low, I managed to. I mean, I am part Māori as well, like so. I was lucky enough to be introduced to a modality that is New Zealand based called miri miri. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No, I haven't.
So that is just like a traditional Māori like modality where you kind of can connect with each other on a spiritual level with talking and stuff as well. And then there's also an element of pressure points that they will target, as well as like breathing techniques and stuff. And that was real powerful for me, man. Like once I understood it and actually felt it, it was just like the best way I can describe it, man, is like, you know, sometimes you get like pins and needles in your body and different things like that, but this was like a whole body experience with like where I could just feel like every energy in my body just like coming together as one, you know. And it was just it was way better than any drugs I've ever taken.
Yeah.
You know? And
Right.
it was all just natural and
Yeah.
And
Look,
I haven't
that sounds
taken
like
a lot of drugs either, but
Yeah.
you know, psychedelics, things like that.
Yeah, look, I think, you know, I truly believe we're like tripartite beings, like spirit, body, and kind of mind, and that emotional sort of self and things. And I think if we neglect any one of those, we can kind of we're out of balance, and we're kind of a little bit not quite whole. And I think when proper attention and kind of care is given to those things, it makes a massive difference. But also just like the mind, because the mind's one of them, the body, and then the spiritual, but the mind is super powerful. Like you talk about the mindset, and there's, you know, we have a great way of being our own worst enemy and kind of putting ourselves in situations that aren't always, like over years, not just sort of like walking down the street or anything, but potentially, like I don't know, just over years, like a long period of time, we can fall into certain patterns and ways of thinking. We have a guy, Rico Gomez, on here that talks about cognitive sort of neuroscience and things like that. Mm-hmm. And that's very much based upon these patterns and ways that people think. And then because all of these three parts of yourself, they're kind of interlinked. So you can have something going on in your mind, and then it will manifest in the body. So you might have maybe unforgiveness in your head, or you might have some kind of hatred in your head, kind of buried down there. And then you might have a stomach ulcer or something along those lines. So they're kind of they're unable to be kind of totally pulled apart. And they do tend to relate to each other and interact with each other. But man, it sounds awesome. Sounds like
I was just about to say
super
then,
positive
like,
experience.
just energy is like everywhere, you know, and we pick up on that, you know. So if I was to come in here and be real negative and stuff like that, whether it would or it wouldn't, but it in some way would impact you guys. Like, you know, just us three being here now, like,
man,
you'd feel that, you know, and then it becomes a whole different space for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that. And I was never really like that conscious of that, man. Like, no, but once,
it kind of asks a lot of us, because then we have to take responsibility for what we say, what we do, all this type of thing, and then we're like, shit, I'm such an asshole.
And
you're kind of like, holy crap. But I think if you kind of come at it from just a sort of a, you know, look, I'm just trying, guys, and hopefully you guys are just trying, and we'll all try together.
Yeah, and it's
because it can be overwhelming, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, like once you start to be a lot more conscious of what is happening around you, you can just have a lot of experience that you don't understand, or that can be quite overwhelming. You know, just like, I mean, we are in the service industry, so we connect with a lot of different people, you know, like, and that energy is so prevalent, because it's like somebody comes in, they're having a bad day, and if you're not able to sort of, you know, create that aura around you to mean like you can hear it and you can feel it and see it, but you can't take it on board, you know, like being able to have that strength is quite good, because it's like, you know, if somebody else's energy is going to affect you in the service industry, then you're fucked. Like, you know, like, you might as well just get out now, because you're going to have a bad day. Like, I mean,
but we're not superhuman.
No.
And it's kind of natural for us to. So we need to kind of almost build defenses against it, or at least have a way of processing this information that's meaningful. And not take it personally, perhaps, and to be able to move on to the next customer straight away.
Yeah. It's just like having that orb around you that sort of is unpenetratable to shit, like, you know. And I mean, and then also being able to take and decipher what is good or bad, but being able to take on all that good energy as well, you know. But without giving away your own, you know, like, so. I feel like, I mean, it's. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if many people would admit it, but like, I feel like I used to have a pretty big ego, man. Like, you know, I felt like I had this business that was different than everybody else's, and just I had this sort of point of difference, and I repped it, man. Like, but I never looked at it like I was trying. I never looked at it like, whoa, my ego is so huge. I never thought like that. And it was just, like people used to give me like pieces of advice and stuff like, I just shut them down, man. Like in my own head, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Like, I know what I'm doing. I've got this sorted, and it's hard to take on other people's sort of advice when you are on the front lines. You are the person that's got all this responsibility. So it's like, well, what the fuck do you have to offer? Like, and it's just like, unless you're doing the same thing, man, sort of move out the way. But
I think it's important saying some of those, like being at peace with that negativity. Like I understand that as well. And you're not the one who's driving this ship. You're not the one who's going to do that work. And it happens in all sorts of professions and careers and just life examples. I used to make clothes. And people will helpfully say, why don't you make cushions? And it's kind of like, well, because I make clothes. Why would I want to make cushions?
How's that relevant?
Or like, just some random thing. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, you kind of have to let that dark side perhaps manifest a little bit and kind of crack a joke about it, and then also, but not let it affect you that much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, things used to severely affect me, internally. I probably didn't display them externally a lot because, like I've always been pretty solid within myself to be like, I'm cool with whatever anybody has to say or do or whatever, but internally it was just all this bullshit all the time, just like conflicting with my own thoughts which also led me to be like, okay, like I smoke a shit ton of cigarettes, I smoke a fuckload of weed, and just, I mean, I don't drink, I don't really take like hard drugs, I mean, but it just made me look at my whole lifestyle, and then I realised that all of them things I were doing were affecting my mindset, and then it's just all this like internal realisation that all the external isn't the problem, and it always comes back to you, So now when I'm having a conversation with someone, and they'll be like, oh, blah, 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 talking about all their problems, all their issues and stuff, and I'm just like, excuse me. Most of the time, like, if you're having that one-on-one conversation with someone and you're like, I mean, most of the time when we're talking to people, we're looking for their opinion or their answer to solve our internal chaos, whatever's going on. But I think when you get into that mindset where you're like, okay, start to understand yourself, a lot of the answers are within, like you just have to
totally
figure it out in a peaceful way and actually be okay with whatever it is, It
requires, like I say before, like, bravery and other things, and a vulnerability in things, which, the culture isn't always... I mean, we kind of talk about it here, there and stuff, but there's talking about it and then there's practicing it. Mm-hmm. And then there's that internal voice, and that struggle still exists. Like, some days you'll hit the nail on the head, and then other days you'll just feel a little bit off for whatever reason. Because there's so many things pulling you and me in different directions. Yeah. Like for yourself, I mean, you're the kind of the vision leader of, Slicks, and it is a responsibility. Like, it's another responsibility. You've got your self-responsibility and leadership of yourself. And once you've got that sorted, that's when you can kind of go on to lead others. But I mean, and that's what you've been doing. You've been leading others, and you're creating something, and you're moving forward. And that's that requires a lot of you. Yeah, it's a...
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing, like... I mean, I don't know if you've had that same experience, but when you're having an off day, I mean, you kind of take that into your... into
100%.
All your worlds,
I need to... you're right. I need to identify what the problem is. Why am I feeling shitty? What was my reason the other day? I don't know. Every day there's a reason, though, of course. There's always excuses. There's always reasons as to why I'm entitled to feel shitty. And that's just, man, as soon as but then I've kind of got this next step, I don't know, and then I'm kind of like, well, what is it? just a minute, I need to identify it in my head real clearly and say, right, it was because this person said this thing. And once I've kind of done that, maybe told one other person about it, like either Milton or my wife. How do you feel about that, Milton?
Oh no, we are around each other a lot. So,
yeah,
we've got some sort of relationship going on.
Yeah. But then once it's kind of spoken, you can kind of sort of not strip it of its power, but put it in its place and potentially just kind of move on.
But I mean, just exteriorising it.
Because you've got to express it. Yeah,
expressing
you kind of
it.
express it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like 101. Expression 101. I mean,
yeah.
And just by articulating it, you get to have a bit of a look at it, someone else to give their viewpoint.
Yeah.
That's why extroverts are like less messed up than introverts, I think.
Right.
Well, I don't know, just in my sort of random viewpoint, because they exteriorise
right,
their mind all the time. They're just talking out and out. I mean, there's stuff they might not be exteriorising, but
that's true.
Introverts, man, they just
bottling it all up.
It's like they probably don't even know what they're feeling half the time because they're not used to expressing those feelings. And so it's all bottled up.
Yeah,
but that's a generalisation. But yeah, you got to express it, man.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to. I feel for me like it. I can definitely relate to your guys' bond, like where, and that's okay because if you're not oversharing with each other and it doesn't become too personal, then you can be like okay with that.
I mean, sometimes you can just ignore it, and the other person's talking, but it's still them expressing.
Yeah. I feel like I probably overshared at times, because sometimes there's just so much chaos going on that internal chaos. I mean, it might not be that chaotic, but you can't describe your chaos compared to somebody else's. But I think oversharing, you also, maybe oversharing is not the right word. I think oversharing with too many people, because then all of a sudden you get a lot of different influence coming in, and they might not be able to generate that like you can, or have that. Just if you're not on that same wavelength with someone, and then you have a conversation with them, and then they sort of give their opinion, then all of a sudden you've taken on somebody else's energy or opinion that maybe wasn't the way that you were hoping to go with it, Whereas I think now it's like you just made that comment before, like somebody says something to you and then you might talk to Milton about it and be like, oh, this dude, fucking rah, rah, rah. But like, I think what I tend to go the other way, where say if you say to me, oh, Rick, like, you're looking old or something, and I get triggered by that. Like that is a me problem, man. I can't then go, you're a dick, man. Like, but in the past, that is how I would go. I couldn't take on anything that I felt anything that offended me. It offended me, and I would hold on to that and be really like twisted about it and externalize it and and just so much judgmental bullshit, whereas now I'm just like, okay, like maybe subconsciously I am afraid of getting old, so that did offend me, or just sitting in that moment and not reacting like so fast or blaming other people, and just being just being at peace, man, like with whatever is going on. And you also said something before that made me remember, like on them days where things are not going that great and you're sort of focusing on all the negatives, like, fuck, we don't have enough money today, like the coffee machine's just fucked out, or this has happened. But then like in that moment when I can feel it all brewing up and like getting really out of control internally, I'm just like, actually, what am I grateful for? Like, well, I'm grateful for the fact that I'm breathing right now and I'm conscious of what is happening. I'm aware of what is happening to me. And then, like, as soon as I start, I can only really describe it for me personally, but as soon as I become aware of what is happening inside, I can get out of my head and then come back into, like, that heart space, man, where I can, like, actually be more conscious and just a better person, man, you know, like, and then I'll go with my gut, like, you know, instead of my head. I think that it's so easy to get caught up here, and we you know, we're told, oh, think before you act, and blah, 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 blah. But if you come out of your head and back into your heart, like, you can make some pretty solid decisions in your life that don't impact others, that are just purely grateful or accepting of other people's situations, where you can actually help them in a whole different positive way. And I think that you are definitely that type of person, man, you know. I mean, when you told me about Sammy Bags and how that all came to be, like, you know, I mean, in the past, man, I would never get myself into a situation like that, because I just didn't give a shit, like, you know, I was only worried about myself, like, but now it's like, I just see myself as like one with others, you know. Like, I know I can't help everyone, and I mean, I'd love to, like, we'd all love to if you're in that mindset, but, you know, just having that connection with somebody who can change their life, whether it's just through conversation or a hug or just something so simple, can lead to something else. And then, you know,
that's interesting you bring that up, because you do have to know your limits, and you can't save everyone. It's like that story with the guy throwing at the starfish back in the water or something, and someone's like, what, you know, the beach is littered with frickin' millions of starfish, and the guy's like, what the hell are you wasting your time doing this? There's millions of them on the beach. It just doesn't matter, dude. What you're doing is pointless. And he's like chucking them back in, and he goes, well, it matters to this one. Throws it in. And so I think you've got to know your limits, but we should still have kind of high ideals and expectations. It is really tough. I think often, always when someone says something, it reflects more about them than you, even if it's a criticism, or sometimes even if it's flattery and stuff. Like, what the hell's, why are you telling me that?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that is a good point, man, you know, because it's like, where is that coming from? Is that because you want somebody to do that for you? You know what I mean? It's just like, I feel like we're just programmed to take on everyone else's opinion, and that is us. You know what I mean? But really, like, your, like, you know, our opinion to ourselves counts the most, you know? Like, I mean, I'm not really... Like, I mean, I'm learning, and I guess I'm evolving through that. But, you know, like, I don't really have a lot of self-love for myself, you know, like, and that's what kind of led me to the point of having that massive internal breakdown, because it was just like, you know, just everything was all just like, I felt like I was just ripping myself apart, trying to be everywhere, just to do everything, like... You know, someone would throw an idea out to me, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it, give it everything, and then something else slips, and then it's like, you go back to that, and then that's slipping, and it's just like, fuck, I can't find that happy medium where everything's good. But then once, and I guess, like, all of that does relate to business as well, because it's like, if you are at the forefront of your business, and people see you as that ideas person, or that, you know, the front man, you know, like, if you look at a business like a band, if the front man's falling apart, man, like, everybody can see that. Like, it's pretty obvious, you know? So, I just feel like all of that does relate to business, because once you change your mindset, and you're not trying to create wealth, or make sure that all the bills are paid and shit like that, because, I mean, how long have you guys been operating here?
4 years. Is it Milton? 4 years?
Yeah. And so,
must
like,
be 4.5, 4 years.
I mean, like, what an accomplishment, right? Like, 4 years.
Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, but it is, man, you know? Like, some people, man, they last 6 months. Like, I mean, and you can't compare to what people's failures, but 4 years, it's like, fuck, that is awesome. And no one ever focuses on that and goes, hey, no. You know, for 4 years. Well, I don't. Yeah, well, for 4 years. So why should they? Yeah, but, like, but just within yourself, you know, like, I look at that now, like, fuck, I know what you would have gone through in that 4 years. Like, a lot of, like, bills, a lot of, like, you know, just painful days, like, and that is just, I think, that experience is something to be grateful for, because that what creates that determination and that next level, you know, like, and you'll never hit that next level until you go through that stuff, you know?
That's right. It's kind of like a trial by fire or baptism by fire. It's kind of like, you know, there's going to be, because it's guaranteed, there's always going to be hurdles, there's always going to be obstacles, and it's how we choose to kind of get past them and stuff like that that will kind of define us. Not so much like the words that come out of our mouth, but it's the actual actions, like how did we react in that situation, how did we respond, that will kind of stay with us forever. I heard someone say recently about our reputation, it could have been Jordan Peterson, talking about how our reputation is really important for people, and we can protect it, and you know, we can protect it in negative ways and in positive ways and stuff, or just we can be at peace with it and stuff. But you're talking about some pretty intense things, and but they're real, and I honestly believe that, like, having the keys inside of yourself, that's a concept that I definitely believe in, and how to kind of nurture and protect that in people, and help people kind of have that realization. It's but it's I don't know, culture. Look, we could talk about how culture interacts with individuals and people, and also, you know, the generational thing, and they're like, the baby boomers act this way, Generation X act this way, our generation acts a different way, and then we've got the millennials and the Zoomers, you know, and there's this, that's a real fascinating thing.
It all ties in together, man, I feel. Like,
it does.
And it's all just, like, we are just programmed to be the way that we are.
We're a product of our environment.
Like 100%. But that's when I'm able to, like, look back on my past and go, well, you know, like, I mean, I don't really mind about sharing my own personal experience, but, like, I mean, when I was sort of, I mean, from about the age of 9 years old till about 14, you know, like, my mum was in a really violent relationship, you know, like, and I watched her, you know, like, get beat into a pulp, man. Like, but in saying that, and you know, like, I mean, that was a horrible time, and like, and I'm grateful that we all made it out of that space. And you know, if it wasn't for my mum getting in a better headspace, I mean, would she ever have got out of that? You know, like, so all of that I'm grateful for, and that experience, but that hasn't led me to now be a violent person, man. You know what I mean? Like, I could be at home beating up my own partner and putting my own kids through that, but I made that conscious decision that isn't me, you know? Like, so it doesn't really matter what factors are happening. We all have the ability to make that ultimate choice of what we're going to do or how we're going to act, you know? I guess it just depends how much you were impacted by it, you know? Like, I mean, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but I mean, and I don't quite understand how that works, but I think that whether we're taught it or not, we know wrong from right, man. And only people that are really willing to delve within would admit to that, you know? Like,
I think
regardless.
There can be a couple of programs running, right? There can sometimes be this unconscious kind of program running, which is operating on a level, maybe there's been trauma, for example, and you kind of revert to this level of programming where it's to do with protection, or I don't know, just sort of survival, maybe. You know, I mean, we've talked about it with Aaron about the fight, flight, and freeze, and all of these different types of things, and those can be really deep within people and triggered at certain times, and it's almost like it's an involuntary thing. They don't always have control over it. But I think the more aware and self-conscious you are, you can perhaps start identifying, this, I mean, you know, there's varying degrees of it, right? There are some traumas which are quite serious, but nevertheless, we all have our own shit. Like, we can all have excuses. We can just pluck them out of thin air. There's no shortage. So I remember saying, in 6 months' time, you know, we're going to have like 6 months worth of excuses or 6 months worth of kind of progress. And no matter what's happened to you in your life, you can have a pretty sweet life, or what might be considered that from just an outsider's point of view, but still, you know, find crap to complain about and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's trauma is relevant, you know.
That's right.
And I can't.
It is.
You know, like from what you've been through to what I've been through. I mean, like that is an experience. Like, so I can't. There is no level of change. You know, like I think that as humans. And whether, you know, I guess it all comes down to like what your parents and your programming. Like, I mean, say someone when you catch yourself, and I'm going to say we've all done it, whether it was in the past or relevant now. But like, you know, somebody might say something and it's like, oh, how could they be worried about that? Or, you know, and then that's at that time when you go back within and you're like, who am I to judge that person's trauma based on the fact that I've never been through that, or I feel that they shouldn't be doing that, or whatever, you know, like, and it's just like, I think that trauma or whatever is your own personal experience. No one can actually give any gauge on that at all, you know, like, I mean, you can be there for someone, you can hear it, but you can't comment on it unless you have been through that exact situation with that exact person's and whatever is involved, you know, like, it's just, no one can ever get on that same level as you, but it's just being aware of it, you know what I mean? Like, and then I guess, like, the more that you're aware of what is happening around you or internally, and instead of looking at all the external, and you start to just create this like abundance of happiness within yourself, shit just doesn't seem so hard anymore, you know? Like, that's kind of where I was going with that. It's just like, with a good mindset and being way more conscious and aware of what is happening, all of a sudden that power bill that's due in 10 days just somehow gets fucking paid. Like, or that day that you're having a bad day, like, you just, something will happen, you know, like, you could just create it because you're putting that good energy out there, and people feel it, and they, you know, like, it seems so unreal to believe that, like, all this mindset and positivity could be affecting the exterior of this building, but it's real, man, you know, because there is literally energy within all of us, like, and if your energy's high, people pick up on that, man, you know, and I've done this test within myself in the business, whereas, like, on the days that I'm feeling quite flat and quite low, that's shit, like, financially, the experience I have with my customers, all of them things, but if, no matter what's going on for me, if I can still keep that happy medium within myself and still have that high energy and just be grateful for everything that's happening around me, I always have some kind of positive interaction that just reminds me that I am on the right path, you know, like, no matter what, it doesn't matter what it is, like, and then all of a sudden I find that the customers are just, especially, like, even when I'm still in that little bit, I might have that little bit of negativity creeping into the back of my head, and then a customer will come in and be like, man, you guys make the best fucking burgers, man, keep doing what you're doing, and I'm like, boom, like, yes, we're back, like, you know, and it's just, but then again, you don't need that positive reinforcement to keep going anyway, because it's like for you guys, you've been here for 4 years, like, you're doing something right, like, obviously people like what this is about, and I think that, you know, we all had a trying time with the lockdowns and all that shit, like, I mean, and that just showed that we are open to all things positive, because when negativity was being thrown on us, we're like, nah, fuck that. Like, we're open. We are serving everyone. We'll help anyone. It's not, you know, like, and I think that was on the borderline of being cancelled, man. You know, like, I felt like as a business owner and like a brand, I was on the verge of being cancelled, man. And that was because it was like, just sharing my political views or sharing just how I personally felt about things, which wasn't like, it wasn't the views of everyone, but that was the views that I had. So I was like, well, fuck it. Like, I mean, that's how my business operates. So like, that's how it got created. So it's like, well, I'm still twisted about that. I don't know if that is the way to go about things. Like, I guess your personal opinions shouldn't really come into a business element, because the element is a brand, but essentially you yourself are a brand. So it's a real conflicting
That's a tricky
point of
one.
view, you know.
That's something I think about often. And I think there's, on one part, there's a necessity to speak your truth in your mind, and if you sometimes don't live the way that you're thinking and inside your head, well, there's going to be a conflict. There's going to be this internal kind of conflict that you're not actually practicing what you preach or whatever. So, I mean, if you do have we continued to serve the vaccinated and unvaccinated, and we weren't going to discriminate, and we weren't going to kind of toe the government line.
Mm-hmm. Which is great.
But it kind of, you go out there, and all of a sudden you're putting your mind out there and stuff. And, we were able to do it. Not always. People aren't always able to... some people would have lost their job, right? So I was really fortunate to kind of do what I wanted to, have the freedom to be able to do what I wanted to. And that's what I wanted for the country as a whole. I wanted that freedom to exist everywhere. And I felt that that's what was being primarily kind of taken away from people, or, in the strongest kind of terms, like voluntarily.
Mm-hmm. I feel like at that time I was just like, my personal feelings or opinions were quite dominant. Like, it was just like, how could they do this? What is happening? But to be honest, like, I am truly grateful for that experience, man, because that is what led to my awakening and ego death, man, because it was just like, look at what is happening to society. Like, the programming that we have been subjected to our whole lives is now come into full effect. Because it's like these leaders are truly dominating our personal lives to the point that it's like, okay, you don't do what we say, well then you've got no money. You don't do this, then you're going to starve. You're going to end up homeless. You're going to lose your family. You're going to lose your house. Like, what a way to live, right? It's just, that was what made me realize, like, actually, time to come from the heart, man, because truly, like, that is where we are meant to come from. Like, in our head, man, you end up thinking like Jacinta Ardern, and then ultimately, like, when you don't come from the heart anymore, then all of a sudden you have to fucking disappear, or you get replaced, because the head is not where the answers come from, man. That's an awesome point. I love it how sometimes the rational mind doesn't give us the best kind of solutions to certain things, and like you say, that gut reaction, maybe in a couple of seconds, it can be a lot more kind of truthful and it's
stuff.
More authentic. And you said something before, speaking your truth, and that, I think that just answered my question before when I said I don't know if it's good sometimes to put your business out there, but speaking your truth, that is what we are meant to do, man. We're not meant to shut the fuck up. That's the thing. Speaking my truth,
in a respectful kind of way. We don't want to use the truth to like clobber the other side.
No, not at all. Not at all. No. But
not that I'm saying there's sides, but I mean, you don't want to use your truth to clobber anyone. But I totally believe that, and I think that I try to live my life that way. But I mean, it is difficult because we need to constantly come back and look inward and just check.
Where is this coming from?
Am I being a dick?
But truth, the truth will set you free, right? And that's why it's like, I think once you start to come from that heart space, you start to just see things in a completely different light, man. I mean, when I visit the centre of town now, I'm watching all these people around Riverside, man, literally stepping over homeless people, and I'm just like, when the fuck did it become normal in society that this is okay and acceptable to be doing this? And it's just like, when you start to see things like that, it's like, then you do question your own morals and beliefs, because it's like, well, when did it socially become acceptable to accept this? And that is like, well, from our programming, it is socially acceptable, but when you come from the heart space, you're like, no, this is not all good. And then and then it's like, well, what am I meant to do?
That's right. And then you begin another journey.
Yeah. And then it's, I mean, and that's why I sort of started all of that by saying, like, there's only so much you can do. Like, I mean, you have to make sure within yourself you are okay. And like, I mean, I have children, you have children. Like, we've got a responsibility to make sure that they are okay. You know, like otherwise they're just going to go through that whole situation in their own lives if we are not able to provide, or you know, our roles as the adult in that situation, or you know, their providers, their carers, you know, like, but them, I mean, like, say even for you, your children seeing what you have done with these Sammy bags and just totally changing one person's life and ultimately changing your own, and showing your kids what compassion and taking a chance on somebody is about, you know, like, which ultimately, you know, from what you don't know what your kids could do now, you know, like, but it could only be positive, man. It's not going to be negative, you know.
And to be fair, it's been such a surprise for me as well, and we didn't intentionally do this for any particular reason, but we've learned so much, and Sam has obviously been such an incredible blessing in our lives, and it's been a challenge, but it's been a challenge that I've realised is a good challenge, and if I didn't have it in my life, it would suck. So you totally look at situations like this in another way, and I don't know what I can say about that, but it sounds real cool, Rick. Like, I really admire you for the bravery required. I mean, it's kind of one thing I always think is the physical and the mental and the spiritual or whatever. I always think the same truths are found in each realm, and I often think of people who go to the gym and work out at the gym and they build up this fitness physically. I think we can do that in the mind, and I think we can do that in the spirit. We can kind of work out, and when someone goes into a gym and physically works out, they're kind of causing themselves a bit of pain, and they're putting themselves through, intentionally putting themselves through kind of, you know, what might be considered a bad situation. I don't work out at all.
I just think and that is the spiritual warfare, man. And we are in a spiritual warfare, because it's like you either change that mindset and come from that heart space, man, or you know, like there is, I mean, there is always going to be good and evil, man. Like, you know, and that is just the yin and yang of life.
That's right.
And there needs to be that balance. But I think for too long, we have been out of balance as a society, where the good have stayed quiet and, you know, just plodded along on their own while evil has dominated. But now we are having that shift, like, and that is why we can see what is happening in politics. We can see it happening in society, and it will only become more prevalent as we continue on. And that's why it's like, you know, like sort of relating that back to my business. That is how I see my business now. You know what I mean? We are a mixture of good and bad, but as a whole, we have this niche that is our own, you know, like, totally. And taking my ego out of it, and everybody else's ego out of it, and just being like, okay, this is who we are, this is what we do, we want to grow, we want to do what we can to be as successful as we can, and we're grateful however that looks. That is a lot of a more healthier business model, and you know, like, because I put in everything to that business, you know, my fucking soul, man. Like, I've always been afraid of failure, you know, like, so I do everything I can to make sure that is gonna, like, just everything's sweet. But what I found last year is that I just stepped away a little bit and created more work-life balance. So now I'm a lot more clear-minded and positive about, you know, like, I don't see work as a chore anymore. It's just become a part of my life, and because I have more balance, I don't feel so overworked, or, you know, like, obviously financially sometimes that can be a bit trying, but I mean, like, ultimately, man, like, my health and my mental health is way more important than my financial health, you know? Like, totally. I mean, I've been able to create this abundance that is, whether it's, like, it's not excessive abundance, but it's enough to keep me going, keep my kids fed, my partner, like, you know, like, we have everything we need, man, like, and it's like, once you feel like, once you know that you have everything you need, all the need for all of that extra shit, it's so irrelevant now, like, you know, and it's just taking that into my business model has just made me be like, okay, well, we will adapt to any situation we can. Like you mentioned the eggs before. It's like, well, it might just be, I mean, food costs and stuff at the moment are through the roof. Like, I don't know how we can continue to create, like, have stability with pricing and what we can offer and stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm going to change up whatever I need to suit, you know? So now what we are sort of planning on doing, and I say we because I'm my sister, she heavily helps me in my business, you know, like when I'm not there, she runs it, and I mean, she's got her own family, she's got 4 kids on the go, like, you know, so we're all busy people, we've all got a lot going on, but we do what we need to do. But the business model I sort of see happening now is, as opposed to having all these fixed items with all this fixed pricing, and I kind of felt like I was moving into like a franchisable business model, whereas now I'm just like, you know what, fuck it, who am I trying to impress? Like, I don't care about fancy writing and all that shit, or being like everyone else's. I want to go back to sort of the authentic self that I had originally created, where it was like everything was just handwritten. You know, if something was unavailable, we wipe it off, you know, like, and just being more realistic with that, because we can't retain fixed pricing. Like, I mean, shit is going up every 2 weeks, like, you know, so that is all that is what I'm going to do. I was going to say that is all we can do, but I'm not going to label it that way, because, you know, anything is possible. We don't know what's going to change. So that is kind of what I'm moving into. I'm just going to, instead of having like 20 fucking beef burgers and 10 chicken and 5 vegan and all this sort of shit, the model that I'm working towards in the sort of next, I had promised myself it was going to be by the end of January, but I took some time to attend concerts and spend a lot of time with the family, so I haven't quite reached that target, which is all good. But the way I look at it now is, I just want to have, say, 10 to 15 burgers that are going, like, where they all can be beef, chicken, and vegan. So that ultimately opens us up to like 15 beef, 15 chicken, 15 vegan, you know, and without all the separation, it's going to make it a lot easier. Like, I mean, even for yourself, like, you come in, it's like you're overwhelmed by this huge menu, like, it's like, where's the beef, where's the chicken, what the fuck's going on? Like, I just want it to be real simple so that everyone can go, yeah, that one sounds good, and I think I'll have it with chicken or beef or whatever, you know?
I always appreciate it when I go into a restaurant and the menu's simple. You know straight away that it's probably a sharp place, and that everybody knows what they're doing, and they've just honed down what's important. And it makes me feel good.
And I feel like
it's stressful going through a long menu, going, what the hell?
Oh man,
and you can just feel that. We talk about energy, you know, you can just feel the vibe of the place. And it's not. It's
stressy.
Stressy.
And that's why I think a lot of these pubs and shit that used to be around, they've all sort of been sold to armadillos and places like that now, you know, like, fuck, I can't, you can literally not find an independent pub anymore, like, which is just crazy. But the menu, you just know what you're going to get. It's all the same shit, you know, like, and they don't have all these random things going on. But I just felt like the reason why our menu got so out of control was just because we were trying to people please, you know, like, but it's like, who are we pleasing, the minority or the majority? Like, probably just trying to cater to all our little minority people or groups that like that individual thing. But it's like, like, instead of categorizing, it's just like, well, we are all one, like, and we will give you options to please anybody, you know, like, instead of trying to keep everyone fucking happy.
Well, that's right. It's the sort of art of war thing, isn't it? In the sort of tricky times, you got to drop all the dead weight and sharpen what weapons you're taking.
And I think
all of that stuff.
Trying to please people, like you say, is impossible. That's what politicians are trying to do.
Yeah.
Trying to attract people is a better kind of way to look at it, I think. And you will attract the people that you attract with the menu that you put forward.
Yeah.
Kind of as opposed to trying to please the people who are kind of coming in. I don't know. It sounds like you're onto a winner, I reckon.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's the thing. Like, we can only evolve. We can only, like, change. I think everyone's a little bit afraid of change, but change is positive, man, because it lets you know that you're not dead yet. You know, like that that you still have the ability to think outside the box, or that you're not like, I've cracked it, this is it, like, we don't need to change. Like, but change is so relevant, man. Like, and I think that we don't spend enough time trying new things, because it's like, I was having this conversation with some boys the other day on the way to Red Hot Chili Peppers, and it's like, you know, I've never really been hunting, and I've always thought that it's shit. And that is like, well, how can I say that about something I've never tried, you know? Like, I might be able to go hunting and love it, and then all of a sudden my life takes this whole nother direction. But if I don't experience it, then how the fuck do I know? And who am I to judge something that I know nothing about, you know? But but that is society. Like, that is programming, man, you know? Like, we're always just, that judgmental mindset has to go, man. Like,
that's right.
There is no room for judgment and negativity moving into the future, man. Like,
well, things aren't as clear as often we would like to think they are. I think if we think things are too black and white, often we're mistaken. Like, you know, we could sort of criticise Jacinda Ardern, but, you know, it's very hard to actually know her true intentions and her true things. I mean, we can kind of judge her on her actions and her policies, but we've always got to go back and question ourselves, is this true? Is my opinion about this person true, or whatever? Because, we might be wrong, and there may not be, you know, potentially, like, it's almost true that they'll be trying to do the best job that they think is best for them and what they think is best for all of the people, and they might be wrong. But I don't know. Taking it back to burgers though, like your shop, remember, it's not just about food either. It's like there's other stuff going on. People were drawn to you for other reasons, because of the personality, because of there's a whole kind of constellation of reasons that make up your business. Like, it could be the location, it's the vibe, it's all of these other little bits and pieces. You know, the pro-cannabis stance, different things. Like, it's not just hinging upon just one single thing. So value, people, when they look at your business and see value, it's not always perhaps tied up. Like, they might be paying $17-20 for a burger or something, but you know, the value just isn't in that one burger. It's spread out amongst the whole thing. It's the big picture, right?
Yeah, and I think I forgot about that. You know what I mean? Like, and although my own vices, I guess, have changed. Like, I mean, I consumed cannabis every single day, man. Like, since I was 13 years old. Like, and
I only did it for 2 years, every single day, kind of thing. But but
that's the thing. Like, everything in moderation, man. Like, and that's the thing. I'm the first person to give an alcoholic shit, like, you know, and I mean, and the only reason that we can sit with it, we're able to do that, is because we can visibly see it, you know, because like, when you compare alcohol to cannabis and the effects that it has in the body, it's pretty blatantly obvious what is happening when you drink alcohol. But you know, like, cannabis is this whole other thing, because it doesn't seem so it doesn't seem like it's affecting you as much, but mental health wise, like, nothing is good in that quantity. No, like, man. You know,
well Milton's been reading a book about coffee, and caffeine has you know,
I mean, I'm just noticing drinking this black tea. I've been drinking peppermint tea and stuff, so I've sort of had a sore gut, so I thought, peppermint tea can soothe your gut and everything. But man, this is bitter. It's real bitter. It's the alkaloid in it. Which is the psychoactive substance, which is the drug that that gives me the hit that I wanted.
How's that going?
Good, man. It's better though. I can feel it in my gut, which is a poison, that's what the plant produces.
So it's like triggering your gut.
Yeah.
Man. Have you tried ginger? Ginger's good
ginger's
for that.
real good too, man.
Yeah.
But the alkaloid is what the plant produces, so insects don't go and eat the plant and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it produces this bitter.
And this is the body side of our being. Like, we can't totally neglect it 100%. We've got to have a little bit of understanding and awareness of what the hell's going on, because what we put in is what we get out, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's funny that you say that, because my diet used to be shocking, man. Like, and
you and every other chef,
like
in the world,
and smoking a lot of cannabis. Like, you're just looking for something that's just easy, like. And I heard, and I'm real bad, like after work I'll always go to the Night and Day and get a Jaffa Thick Shake, man. That's like my go-to thing. And then I was watching this documentary, and it was saying that you are what you eat, right? And I was just thinking, fuck, man, I'm a milkshake. Like, I'm a fucking milkshake. Like, so I was just like, can't do that anymore. So now I'll have one like maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, but I was literally having one every single night, man. Like, wondering why I felt like shit, like, and just all that consuming of all these products that you just don't even think about until you get unwell, like, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, what's wrong with me? Like, fuck, I smoked a pack of ciggies a day. Like, now I'm just like, fuck, just everything in moderation, man. Like, I might have one a day, or I'm trying to go a whole day with not having one, but it just shows that we have the ability to do all the things we think we can't do, but it's mindset, man. Like, even this morning coming here, I wanted to smoke like 3 or 4 ciggies because I was trying to calm the internals, but it's like, I have the ability to naturally do that. I don't need cigarettes. I don't need cannabis. I don't need that shit. Like, cannabis is real. Like, I mean, it has its relevance for medication, and I know the health benefits that it has. Just like alcohol for cleaning wounds and shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, they're all relevant, but it's all about moderation and education, man. Like, that's where I feel cannabis comes into my business model, because nobody else is saying, oh, like, maybe don't drink all that bourbon. Like, why don't you try getting a medicinal cannabis, like a, what do you call it, a medical certificate. Like, anyone can obtain that, There's different elements, and I welcome anyone to come and have that conversation with us at work, because we can sort of point them in that direction where you may not have to talk to your physician you've been dealing with for 15 years. There are other people that can help you to source that. And I mean, most people are still thinking that cannabis is this big black market, but it's not, man.
No, and I think it's the fact that we don't talk about it, and we don't, it doesn't get out there and stuff. So, I mean, I think when you get a message from, say, the government or from an organisation which is just 100% black and white, you probably know there's more to it than that. There's more nuance and stuff going on, and cannabis is one of those areas. I mean, far out. There's I know conservative Christians that have been very ill, and they've kind of gone out and sort of sourced cannabis, I think, before it was even legal. In the case of one guy I knew had a brain tumour and stuff, conservative Christian dude, but looking for options that exist, right?
And not just hoping that God's going to save you. Like,
that's right.
I mean, I don't
or
want
the government.
I don't want to diss religion or politics.
No.
But the way, I was meant to touch on this before. You said about the media, like, mainstream media and stuff. One of my truths is pretty much like, whatever they're telling you, man, is the fucking opposite. You know what I mean? Like, and that is just, in my opinion, man, like, other people might question that or whatever, but you only need to see what is happening, like, with policy changes and what they're doing to our farmers and shit like that, to know that the media are only putting out their propaganda.
I would liken it to a person who's almost super paranoid, and they've got heaps of insecurities, and they're only projecting the thing that you want to see. They're keeping all that other shit to themselves. And it's just it's just a dysfunctional if it was a person or a personality, it's just hard out dysfunctional. It's not real. It's not authentic, right?
No, not at all.
I came to that same rule of thumb ages ago. It's pretty much the opposite. And it's just the same old stuff over and over. It's gone on for hundreds of years.
Yeah, and if we get a customer come in here who's fronting and is super tough, you know that what's going on. What's their insecurity? Man, maybe they're scared. Maybe they're and they're having to overcompensate massively. And I think the media overcompensates massively because they want to be relevant, they want to have control, and they want to make money. Right?
But I love that. I love that because the more that people put their ego out there, the more that you can see who they truly are. You know, like you mentioned about the gym before.
Yeah.
Well, I know heaps of people that go to the gym, but they don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for the people that are posting up all these fucking pictures, so I can be like, stay away, you know, because like, I don't. And
there's the guys that are just ego. Like freaking jacked. They're like incredibly, and it's kind of.
But they don't tell you, like you know what I mean. Like most of the people that I know that are healthy and fit, I don't know when they go to the gym, but all the fucking narcissists I know, I see them, like you know what I mean. And but we're programmed not to, like we're programmed to think, oh, look at these people, look how good they look, like look what they're doing for themselves, and it's like, well, I don't need to see that.
In the business community, the same thing's happened. I don't know if you've been on LinkedIn. I joined recently, and it's just insane. It's like this business, corporate sort of career popularity kind of contest. And, there's this, some people in business, they're just like, oh, I don't know how I got here. I just, I made $100 million. Honestly, it's just all a fluke or something like this. And it's kind of like, hang on a minute. Something's going on.
Let's do some background research. You probably got funded 99% of your money from family or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not even opposed. Like, like I have people in my life that have obscene wealth or not obscene, just wealthier than me. Like, but I don't look at that like, as a bad thing. I look at that as like I'm happy for them, and I love that I can be around people like that because it inspires me to go, what are the elements in this lifestyle that I like? And it's usually only just to have freedom, man. And that is what I like to see in them. Like like the people that have that wealth, I love their freedom, man. Like they just don't give a fuck. Like like they're just, nothing's a problem. And then you realize like their life's actually probably pretty good because nothing is a problem. So regardless if you have that wealth or not, if everything is just neutral and it's like, shit happens, good things happen, bad things happen, but 50-50, if you can create that balance, then you're at peace. Like, and realizing that we are all interconnected on some kind of level, that they are no better than me or vice versa, because we all bring our own qualities to the table that wealth cannot bring. Like, like it isn't about wealth to what you can bring to the table, So it's like,
I think you get in a dangerous situation if you start, these kind of things like wealth and money and stuff, whether it has like a moral, whether it's good or evil. I mean, it's neither. Yeah. That's how it's used and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, Rick, it's been awesome talking to you, and I'm going to give you the menu. I feel like it's been...
Is it that time?
Yeah. But yeah, we mustn't let a whole year go by, or a year and a half before we catch up again.
Yeah, I remember when you messaged me and said, would you like to come back on the show? And I think I said to you, I got heaps to fucking talk about.
That's right. And there was 6 months ago? And in the back of my head, I've always been like, shit. But, I've always got a million and one things kind of going on, and I'm thinking, shit.
I reckon you guys could chat for another hour.
Oh, easily.
I can feel the vibe. I can see just getting into it, man.
Yeah, and I hope I haven't like overshared too much, but I just I just really wanted to hope that anybody listening to this could just take a little bit of that on board, just that, and just like spend that on that evening where you're feeling like shit, or that morning where you're just feeling like things are just compounding so much that it just takes some real deep breaths and like just visualize what you want and internalize what is going on. And when someone calls you ugly and that offends you, then find out what it is inside yourself that makes you offended by that, because we don't need to be offended by words, and the one thing I'm working on at the moment, and I think it's quite dominant in our New Zealand society, is that when somebody looks at you funny and you're like, oh, what the fuck are they looking at? And then I started to think, like, why do we get offended about the way that somebody looks at us? Like that is just the core of starting to begin to being aware of your own feelings. And now I'm like, I don't give a fuck how someone looks at me. I'm going to smile. I'm going to be happy regardless of how you act. And I have just, so far this year, I haven't had a drop of anybody affecting me and my internal psyche, So if that helps anyone, then I hope it does.
It seems ridiculous, but freaking smiling at people works.
It was just like
it really does.
I mean, I was just in Dunedin at a concert, and like the ego was so prevalent, and like I've got heaps of tattoos, and that image creates that what society would deem for me to be like somebody who's a bit of a rebel or fucking wants to fight people or whatever it is that people associate with tattoos and shit. But even when like I found myself being judged or had groups of people like sort of eyeing me up and shit, I just keep smiling at them, man. Like and like, what are they going to do? Like, how can somebody affect me if I'm at peace with myself? So it's just like most of the time they'd come up and start talking to me because they just were like, what the fuck? This guy's like not reacting to our look, and it's like, you can look however you want, man. Like, I'm cool with that. Like, you want to be angry, that's cool, man. Like, just you can just take it out of my external bubble.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So what, am I picking something from here?
Yeah, for sure.
What am I going to go for? This, I think last time, man, I went for the Pilgrim's Wee Buddy.
Yeah,
I
remember that.
Yeah, I'm a creature of habit, man. Yeah.
That's the only thing I know how to make. So.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, it's like a piece of love.
I actually, I don't want to talk about other places, but my partner and I went to Strawberry Fair yesterday and got something real similar, and they had avocado with it. Like, it was kind of like guacamole, which I thought was kind of weird for an Eggs Benedict, but fuck, man, it like...
went well?
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Don't stick to convention.
Something
new
works, big ups to them, mate, because I was not expecting it, and then I just completely blew myself out with a dessert that I did not need. But it was
Jack
good.
Milkshake.
I think we don't. The problem is when you are in this industry, you don't really get to go out and experience other people's stuff, So I try and get out there a lot more now, so I can stay relevant.
I had some really good lamb's fry.
Like
liver down at Riverside a few days ago. You don't get that much.
That's cool.
It's a really good chef, and he cooked it really well. Big stack of it for $23, I think.
Yeah, my stomach just flipped upside down. But
do you not eat meat?
Not lamb's fry. Not awful. I have moved towards a more vegetarian lifestyle. My personal opinion is I just don't think meat is sustainable moving forward, I think that like that New Zealand culture dominates meat, we got to have the steak, we got to have all this shit. So I was just just once again flipping around the other way and being like, okay,
why not?
I don't need all of this meat. You actually find that if you take on more vegetables than meat, all of them issues that you have, like you were mentioning gut problems and shit like that, you just start to notice that kind of stuff just keeps you more regular, and I'm getting older too, man. It's like
I don't eat that much meat, but I really enjoyed that lamb's fry. But, my dad used to work at the freezing works and he'd bring stuff home, so kind of used to that sort of thing. But anyway, I'll get on with it, buddy.
On you, man. Thanks heaps, Milton.
Cheers, Rick. Thanks for coming
very
in.
much. No, thanks for having me, man. I'll hope to be back sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Thanks, man.